Welcome to the Ultimate Major Scale Masterclass for Guitarists. This masterclass is for you if you want to be able to comfortably improvise solos anywhere on the fretboard, don't fully understand how the major scale modes work but want to, you've been struggling with knowing what to practice, you've been struggling with memorizing scale shapes, and you want to feel confident improvising over any chord progression, assuming it doesn't change key. I can teach you that too, but that's another lesson. This lesson will consist of 7 levels. Each lesson will build on the last and progressively get harder. It's also worth mentioning that you won't be able to finish this entire lesson in a day. Unless you're already an advanced player, you'll likely have to return to this lesson multiple times to get the most out of it. But odds are you're an intermediate level guitar player who will watch this lesson for a few minutes and then just leave because you lack focus, which is the whole reason you'll never graduate into an advanced player, by the way. But if you're serious, then yes, I suggest you return to this lesson multiple times. I recommend that you watch until you get stuck. Once you get stuck, I encourage you to take some time to go deep with that material until it becomes easy for you and you feel ready to move on. If you'd like more help, I'll quickly take this moment to announce that after 2.5 months, 52-Week Guitar Player is officially open once again for enrollment. If you'd prefer a more personalized guitar learning experience, you can get help directly from myself or another professional from my team. But more on that later. The topics we'll be covering here go as follows. Level 1, the major scale. This is where most of you guys are. Level 2, the 7 modes. This is where most of you guys will break. But don't worry, because I'll be very thorough in my explanation of the modes and I'll show you how to practice them properly. In level 3, we'll be practicing all 7 modes in all 12 keys. Level 4, improvising anywhere on the fretboard. For level 4, the goal is to actually start creating music with the material that I've shown you from the previous levels. Level 5, same position, different scale. This level is really going to test just how well you know each key. Level 6, 3 notes per string. Metalheads should already know this. And then finally, level 7, we'll look at the chain exercise. Enter level 1. Level 1 is where most of you guys are. For this level, all I'm going to do is show you how to play the major scale in one position on the fretboard. This is very basic and very easy. Even the stupid ones out there should be able to handle this. Check it out. This is the major scale. That's the first octave. That was the second octave. And that's what it sounds like when I descend. Okay? So the beautiful thing about guitar is that we can just take that one shape and we can move it around anywhere we want. The shape does not change. Okay? That's a blessing and a curse, but that's another video. So if I take that same shape, but I start on B for Brandon, then I have the B major scale. If I start on B flat, then I have the B flat major scale. If I start on A, it's the same shit. And if you don't know the notes of the fretboard, I made a video discussing them, and perhaps that video would be worth checking out if you don't know the notes on the fretboard. But anyway, this will conclude level 1. Enter level 2. Level 2 is going to be the most theory-heavy level of the lesson. The other levels will focus more on playing and what to practice. But before we get there, it helps to understand how everything works. For this level, I'm going to show you the 7 major scale modes. I try to make this subject very easy to understand. I genuinely try to. If the way I'm explaining it is still confusing to you, just let me know in the stupid bitch section. This way I can have a better idea if I'm explaining it well, or you guys are just too stupid, because every time I explain this, there are always people in the comment section saying they don't understand. I don't know if it's my fault or their fault. Probably their fault. But moving on! The reason I'm showing you the 7 major scale modes is because you have to know them if you want to have fretboard freedom. I've already shown you the major scale, but that's just one scale position. If you want to solo anywhere on the fretboard, knowing that one scale position is not going to be enough. You've got to know all the shapes. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you. You see, each mode is just the major scale starting on a different note from the same major scale. Just think of each mode as a different place on the neck to play the major scale. We can talk about writing with the modes in another lesson. The order of the modes goes as follows. Ionian/major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian/minor, and Locrian. There are 7 modes because, oh my god, there are 7 notes in the major scale. You see, each mode is just the major scale starting on a different note from that same major scale. You remember when I fucking said that? Let's look at an example. The notes of the C major scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, B. If I start on the 3rd note of the C major scale, E, I will have an E Phrygian scale. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Do you notice how they have the same notes? You see, each mode is just the major scale starting on a different note from that same major scale. I'm gonna keep saying this until I can make that TikTok brain of yours fucking get it. Let's look at another example. Here are the notes of the B major scale. B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. If I start on the 3rd note of the B major scale, D sharp, I will have a D sharp Phrygian scale. D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C sharp. It's the same notes as B major. You see, each mode is just the major scale starting on a different note from that same major scale. So staying in the key of B, if I started on the 5th note, F sharp, what mode would I have? F sharp Mixolydian. If you didn't get that right, I swear I'm not a bad teacher. You're just stupid. But why is this important? Because every mode is a different scale position on the neck. And since we want to have fretboard freedom, we have to learn these positions. By learning the modes, we learn where the right notes are on the fretboard for the key. Because remember, each mode is just the major scale starting on a different note from that same major scale. We want to play those notes so we stay in key. We don't want to play the notes outside of the key because we don't want to play wrong notes. All of the modes from C major contain notes from the key of C major. So if we wanted to improvise a solo in C major, we would play the modes of C major, which would give us all the right notes all over the fretboard, giving us fretboard freedom. Let me just play it. In level 1, I showed you 1 scale position. Now in level 2, by showing you the modes, I've shown you 4 more scale positions. Please let me know if you found my explanation of the modes to be helpful. Right? Level 2 made sense in the comments. If you still found it confusing, either I didn't explain it well enough, or you're just stupid. Probably the second one. Now let's practice each mode. All right, so what we're gonna do is come to this website. It's called the Random Scale Machine, and this is gonna generate keys for us at random, which will be important since we're gonna be practicing the modes in all 12 keys. Next, we wanna have a stopwatch, and of course, you wanna have a metronome. Now, I'm not gonna be using Google's metronome. I have my own metronome. I'm actually using Logic to record my guitar right now, which is my digital audio workstation. Whatever your digital audio workstation is, you can use the metronome from that if you'd like. If not, just use Google's metronome. It's great. I use it all the time. All right, so what we're gonna do is generate a random key, which I have done that. My first key is G. And I'm gonna start playing 1 mode at a time, but I'm gonna go through all 12 keys. So I'm gonna start with Dorian, because remember, you just learned these modes, right? If you went to improvise, you would crash and burn if you use them because you don't know them very well. I mean, maybe some of you guys watching do know them very well, so you're probably going through this part of the lesson really quick. But if you don't know them, you're gonna fuck them up when you try to improvise, right? So you need to put in the reps. You need to actually practice them. And that's what we're doing, and I'm gonna show you the best way to do that right now. Okay, so my first key was G, which means right now I'm gonna go through Dorian, which means I'll play A Dorian, okay? So this is not only practicing each mode, like this is not only sharpening your skills for each mode and how to play each mode, but it's also sharpening your knowledge of intervals and fretboard knowledge, all right? Because G is our key, which means we need to know the second interval. Like if you play a G major scale, what was the second note that I played? It was A, which means since we're playing Dorian, we're gonna play A Dorian, and so on for every single key, all right? That's how it helps you with intervals, and it helps you with your fretboard knowledge because you have to find whatever that note is on the fretboard. So there's a few moving parts to this, which is why it's such a great exercise. Let me just stop talking, start playing, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So I have the metronome set to 130. Set the metronome to something where you can comfortably play 16th notes, all right? That might be 70, 100, 130, 160, whatever. And we're gonna start the stopwatch here and see how long it takes me to go through all 12 keys. So the stopwatch has started. First is A Dorian. Okay, next key, B flat, which means I have C Dorian. And then we have D Dorian. Now I'm gonna stop talking and just keep playing because honestly it adds a lot to my overall time when I talk. Whoops. We want to stay clean. This is also technical practice. Wow, I just descended by like a few semitones in a row. Okay, so that was 143. Took me a second there to actually get the metronome, but that was 143. So once we get that time, we're actually gonna take note of it, right? So you can write the date. So today is June 5th. When you guys are watching this, it's probably not June 5th. Well, it's definitely not. But what I'm gonna do is write all the modes here, except for major or Aeolian. Actually, I'm only gonna write down these ones. Because as I mentioned earlier in this lesson, Phrygian and Lydian, it's the same shape. They're two different modes, yes, but the way that they lay out on the fretboard is the exact same. The only difference is the note that you're starting on, all right? So if you can play Lydian, you can play Phrygian, is what I'm trying to say, at least on guitar. On other instruments, maybe it's a little different, but on guitar, this is how it works. And I didn't include Aeolian, which is the major scale, in this because hopefully you guys already know that pretty well. If you don't, then obviously include it in this practice routine. But for this video, I'm not going to be practicing the major scale. All right. So if we want to make it look real nice and sexy, what we can do is this, which you don't have to do. But anyway, so today's date is June 5th, 2024. I played all 12 Dorian scales at a tempo of 130. And it took me 1 minute and 43 seconds. So this is what I'm going to write down. Okay, 143 at 130. So tomorrow you would practice this again and you try to improve that time. All right, so let's keep going. I'm going to turn the metronome back on, reset my stopwatch, and now look at all of the Phrygian scales. All right, B flat is my first key here, which means D is going to be my first Phrygian scale. Let's set the stopwatch and get down to business. Had to get the fingers moving again. G, which means B Phrygian. D, F sharp Phrygian. Kind of sloppy. Last key is A, which means C sharp Phrygian. $131. Okay, so it takes a second to grab the metronome there, or grab the stopwatch, but that was 131 at 130. Okay, so we take note of that and we keep going. Next, I have Mixolydian. G is my first key again, and this time I'm starting on the 5th. So I think I forgot to mention specifically the interval, but when you practice Phrygian, you're starting on the 3rd, right? Because It's the third mode. Mixolydian is the fifth mode, which means we're starting on the fifth. And in the key of G, that's D, which means my first scale, my first Mixolydian scale is D Mixolydian, okay? So I will turn the metronome back on and get down to business here. 3, 4. First one was sloppy. I'm being picky. Want to get a nice clean scale. So that was also 130. At 130. Cool. Something that I find very helpful when it comes to finding the Mixolydian scales is just find whatever your note is, like whatever the key is on the A string. Because when you find it on the A string, let's say in this case, my key is A. A is right here. So all we're gonna do is start there for Mixolydian, right? Anyway, now I'm gonna do Aeolian, also known as the minor scale. When it comes to finding this interval, it's a sixth away, right? So A, go to F sharp. That's my Aeolian scale for the key of A. But jumping up a sixth is a little difficult. It's unnecessarily difficult. All you need to think about when trying to find this is what is the relative minor of the key. So with A, it's F sharp. And you can just go down 3 frets to find that. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So that makes it easy. So let's turn the metronome back on. Let's turn the stopwatch back on. And let's start playing these. Takes me a second to get back into the groove. This is gonna be my longest one. Was shitting the bed a little bit. Wanted to play that cleaner. Let's see. God. Okay, that was 149, which was pretty brutal, honestly. 149 was my time at 130. But basically, this is how you practice the modes, right? At least in the beginning, when you're not comfortable with each individual shape, you go to the random scale machine, you set a metronome, and you set a stopwatch, and you start going through all the keys, okay? And then you repeat this daily. You don't quit after a fucking week, right? Or 2 days if it's hard. You keep going, and that's how you practice each mode. If you found this helpful so far, I would like to shamelessly remind you that 52-Week Guitar Player is currently open for enrollment. But we're going to close again on June 30th, or once 100 new students sign up, whichever comes first. Personalized video feedback is guaranteed in this program. This way you can make sure you aren't making any mistakes or developing any bad habits. And if there's anything else you need cleared up or have any additional questions, just come to one of our 5 group Zoom calls that we have every week and we'll help you out. Check out the link in the description for the full rundown of the program. Enter level 3. Now we're going to practice all 7 modes in all 12 keys. Why is this important? Because we want fretboard freedom. And by doing the type of practice that I'm about to show you, you'll be able to play in key anywhere on the fretboard. So once again, we're going to use the random scale machine. We're going to have a stopwatch going and use a metronome, right? And this time, what I'm going to do is whatever key I'm given, I'm going to play all the modes of that key. I'm going to start as low as I can go on the fretboard without open strings. And then I'm going to stop when I complete the octave, okay? So since my first key here is E, that means I'm going to be starting with F sharp Dorian, and then I'm going to play all the modes of the key of E, and then I'm going to finish once I play F sharp Dorian again, okay? An octave higher than I originally played it. And that's that. And we would go through all 12 keys. I think that you'll get the idea after I go through 2 keys, really, but I'll go through 6. And the reason that I'm going to go through 6 is because if I only went through 2, then you guys would probably only go through 2. So I'm going to go through 6, so at least you'll probably do 6. I mean, let's be real, you're probably not even going to do that. But I don't think we need to go through all 12 because this video will be extra long if I did that, and it's already a long video. Okay, so I'm going to set the metronome. Once again, set it to a tempo where you can play 16th notes. And I'm going to time how long it takes me to go through the 6 keys. So I'll start the timer now, or the stopwatch now, and start playing. Okay, I'm not going to be talking as much. I'm going to be doing more playing. So first we have E, which means I'm going to play F sharp Dorian. I will tell you the modes as I go through for the first key, maybe the second key as well, but after that, I'm just going to play. Okay, so first we have the key of E, which is F sharp Dorian. Next we have G sharp Phrygian. I put a wrong note in there. Next we have Aeolian. Then we have B Mixolydian. C sharp minor. D sharp Locrian. That was a little sloppy. Now we have E major. Now we have F sharp Dorian again. This will complete the octave. All right, next key. Now we're gonna descend and we're gonna play the shape that is as low as we can get without open strings. So in the key of G flat, I can just play G flat major. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry. Then we have F Locrian. E flat minor. D flat Mixolydian. Then we have C flat Lydian. B flat Phrygian. A flat Dorian. G flat major. Okay, so I've shown you how to go through the keys and how we're going to be practicing. Now I'm going to stop talking. You'll still know which mode I'm going through, but I'm not going to talk as much now. So we have B flat. F. Lydian is so annoying. It's just the same as Phrygian, but we're starting on a different note. It's also a different tonality, but that's another conversation. So now we have E flat, which means I'm going to start on G Phrygian. Nailing it till I get it, drilling it till I nail it. That could be a little better. Next key is A. Okay, just went through 6 keys, and it took, how long did that take? Probably 6 minutes and 26 seconds or something, because it took me a second to kill the stopwatch there. So again, what we're gonna do is come and we would write this down, okay? So modes. Let's see, modes in every key. So I did 6 out of 12 at a time of about 6:26 or something like that. And we'll make it look nice and sexy there. And maybe we'll bring this over. But yeah, okay, and that's that. That is how you practice the modes in all keys, okay? I only did 6. But when you do this, you want to do 12. I just did 6 for the purposes of this video. But that's it. Enter level 4. For level 4, we're going to improvise all over the fretboard. The whole purpose in showing you everything that I've shown you so far is so you can use it in a musical context. We don't want to just sit down with the metronome and run scales for our entire life. The idea is that we take these scales and make music with them. So I have a few backing tracks here. They're all from my sexy as fuck backing track pack, which can be purchased for $1. And I'm going to improvise over them. The tabs will be on the screen. So what you can do is go ahead and pay the extremely high price of $1 to get the track pack. Then you can practice improvising over these tracks and steal some of my licks and ideas. And if you can't pay the $1, then just go fuck yourself. It's $1. Even if you live in a third world country, you can afford it. You'll get 27 professionally produced tracks that are compatible with any digital audio workstation, the chord charts, and play along videos. This is a very good deal, and honestly, I'm probably gonna increase the price soon. I solo now! So as I said, you can go ahead and download the sexy as fuck backing track pack for $1 and get some phenomenal backing tracks to practice with. The goal is not to just play scales with a metronome forever. I know most of you guys hate that anyway. The real goal is to be able to walk into a fucking jam session and blow everyone's mind with your playing. Have people asking, who the fuck was that guy? And unless you're in Nashville, you'll probably be able to blow people's minds pretty easily. Fun fact! I just went to Nashville. Enter level 5. The exercise I'm about to show you will test how well you know each key. So for level 5, once again, we're using the random scale machine, a stopwatch, and a metronome. None of this should be a surprise by this point in the video. And what we're going to do is go through all 12 keys, and we're going to play one mode from each key, and we're going to be isolated in one position. All right? So I'm going to go with the 7th position. And when I say position, what I mean is, okay, if we're starting on the 3rd fret, we're in the 3rd position. If we're in the 5th fret, if we start on the 5th fret, we're in the 5th position. If we start on the 7th fret, we're in the 7th position. So we're going to stay in the 7th position for all 12 keys. All right? And this entire time so far, we've been starting on the E string. Instead, let's start on a different string, because when you're improvising, you're not always going to be starting on the E string, right? Oftentimes, you'll be somewhere on one of the brighter strings. So let's start on the G string this time. So since we're going to be in the 7th position, which note, or which mode, I should say, from the key of D is found in the 7th position? It would be B, Aeolian, also known as B minor. Okay? And since we're starting on the G string, that means we can actually start on a D note. So we'll always try to start on a D since we're in the 7th position. Not all keys have a D natural in them. So sometimes we may have to start on a D flat or an E flat. But for the most part, let's try to start on D. Okay? You will see, and this will make more sense as I just start doing it. We learn by doing. So once again, I will turn the metronome on, I will turn the stopwatch on, and I will start going through these keys. So first off, we have B, Aeolian. It's a great key to start with because the note is D and the key is D, okay? But it doesn't get any better than that, unfortunately. So our next key is C. So in the 7th position, we have C major, and we can start on a D. Sorry. Okay? You mess up, just keep going. Next we have E flat, and we can start on a D. Which mode are we gonna play? C minor, okay? Awesome. All right, A flat is our next key. We cannot start on a D in this key because there is no D natural. So we'll have to start on an E flat, and we can play C Phrygian. Next is B flat. We can start on D and play C Dorian. B, so we can just play B major, and we can start on C sharp. F, we'll start on D and play C Mixolydian. A, we will start on D. We can play D. We can play B Dorian. D flat. We'll start on D flats then, and play B flat Aeolian. E. There's no D natural in this key. We will start on D sharp and play E Phrygian. Or maybe we'll start on C sharp. And I didn't mean E Phrygian. I meant B Mixolydian is what I meant. All right. Next key is G. We can start on D and play B Phrygian. And lastly, we have G flat, so we can just play what we just played down a fret. All right, so that took 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Once again, we will track this, all right? So, modes in one position. We played all 12, and it took 3 minutes and 18 seconds at 1:30 in 7th position, okay? So you can just write it like that. And you can see we've got this nice practice log here. And there are still more levels to go, so we can keep adding to it. But yeah, this is how you practice guitar shifts. The reason we do this exercise is because it helps you understand how each key lays out on the fretboard. How well do you know each key? How well do you know the notes of the fretboard? What you have to understand about most things guitar related is that things are not binary. It's not that you know something or you don't. The majority of the time, intermediate guitar players do know things, but they don't know them that well. You might already know the notes of the fretboard, but you have to take a minute to think about where they are, whereas a pro would just be able to find those notes instantly. My mission with this exercise is to decrease the amount of time it takes you to figure out where you are in any given key. Because in a real world setting, you don't have time to think. You've just got to know it and play. Enter level 6. If you play metal, you should already know this. But for this exercise, we're going to play every major scale mode using 3 notes per string. So once again, we're going to come to the random scale machine. We're going to grab ourselves a stopwatch and a metronome. And this time, you know what? I actually am going to go through all 12 keys. And it's probably going to take like 15 minutes or so. Let's aim to beat that. I'll aim to beat 15 minutes. But I'm going to play through all 12 keys, and I'm going to play 3 notes per string for every mode. All right? So I'll turn the metronome back on, and let's just get down to business here. The tab will be on the screen. Tempo is 130. Let's start. So first up, we have F. Okay, that was F major. Next we have G Dorian. A Phrygian. B flat Lydian. That was a little sloppy. That's a little better. Next we have C Mixolydian. D Aeolian. Ooh. What's going on? Cool. Now we have E Lydian, or E Locrian, I should say. And then we complete the octave with F major. Okay, now I'm going to stop talking. Again, the only reason I talk is to explain things to you. And I'm explaining things that are already written on the screen anyway. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to play. So the next key is F sharp or G flat. So this time I'm going to descend. So I'm going to pick a place where, let's see, I won't end up playing open strings when I descend and go down the octave. So I'm going to start with this position here. Here we go. Oops. Okay, that completes the octave. Next key is E. That was a little tough to get through the G flat. All right, so now we've got E. Okay, made some time out with that. Next we've got B. Let's see, where should I start? Descending is harder. Finally. Shit, now where am I? Okay, that 15-minute target's looking a little bit harder to achieve. So next we've got E flat. A flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's always weird starting after ascending and then descending. The start is always weird. Cool. Next key is C. you're gonna feel this in your shoulder. D Dorian next. Oh, this is where I'm completing the octave for this key. Cool. Okay. Next we've got D. Let's see. Okay, next is Mixolydian, or Lydian, I meant. Then, well, we gotta start here. Next key is D flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. B flat is my next key. 3, 4. I love it when it ends right on the root. Okay, next we have A. That was a little sloppy. You could do that again. Last key is G. $14 minutes. We'll stop that there. And that's going through all of the keys, 3 notes per string. And now guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna go to our lovely spreadsheet that we created, and we are going to make a note of that. So 3 notes per string, NPS, notes per string, in all 12 keys. Well, you could just write 3 notes per string, really. And then it was about 14 minutes at 1:30. Okay. So yeah, you do that, and this stuff is going to give you fretboard freedom, right? It's just the problem is that none of you guys are actually going to do it. But anyway, that will conclude level 6. So why is this useful? This exercise is useful because it helps you see each mode differently. I see intermediate level guitar players struggling to memorize the modes all the time. The #1 reason they struggle is due to lack of reps. They haven't practiced enough. You guys truly don't understand how much time is required to sound better than intermediate. When I was in music school, I would have the guitar in my hands for up to 11 hours a day some days. And I wasn't even the best. There were other musicians that were way more dedicated than that. So when you try this stuff for a week and still don't sound how you want to sound, yeah, no shit. But as I said earlier, a lot of the levels in this video are just practice routines. So I've presented another one here for you just now. Do this every day for 14 days, then come back to this video and comment saying how things are going. Comment accountability so other guitar chefs out there can remind you after 2 weeks in case you never come back because you bitched out. I told you guys to do this in one of my past videos. Do the exercises that I'm about to show you in this video every day for 14 days. Then report back to this comment section so you can tell everyone your results. This video has over 100,000 views at the time of me filming this. And do you know how many people commented accountability? And do you know how many actually came back? This is why I always shit on you guys, because you want the end result, but you're not willing to put in the effort that it takes to get there. As long as this is the case, I will continue to shit on you. You're welcome! I still appreciate you watching though. Enter level 7. In my professional opinion, the hardest and most effective way to practice scales is by doing the chain exercise. I saved this exercise for last because everything that came before it was easier. For this exercise, we're gonna select a random key, then we're gonna improvise in that key all over the fretboard for as long as we can without stopping at a continuous subdivision of rhythm. I'm gonna pick 16th notes, but triplets or 8th notes or even quarter notes could still work. Adjust the subdivision of rhythm depending on your own skill level. And obviously adjust the tempo accordingly as well. Out of all the exercises we've looked at in this video, I feel that this one is the most effective. Improvising like what we did in level 4 is the most fun, but when it comes to raw tests of skill and how well you know each key, chain exercises are amazing. If you took a lot away from this video and would like feedback on your practicing, consider enrolling in 52-Week Guitar Player. 52-Week Guitar Player is a guitar program that I created in 2019. In this program, you will receive structure, practice routines, feedback, accountability, live interaction with pros, and big fun in the sun. Unlike every other guitar course on the internet, 52-Week Guitar Player is personalized. We still have an organized lesson curriculum to solve your problem of having no structure, but as you go through it and do the practice routines, you will receive personalized feedback in video form from a professional. This is guaranteed in 52-Week Guitar Player. And after 2.5 months of being closed, 52-Week Guitar Player has once again opened up for enrollment, and we will stay open until June 30th or until 100 new students sign up, whichever comes first. If you're watching this video after June of 2024, grab your spot on the waiting list. The link will be in the description. You could always join now while we still have spots available and are still open, and then just refund if you didn't like it. But I'm confident that you'll love it once you enroll. Just check out what these students had to say. The link to join will be in the description for as long as we're open. Then once we close again, I'll be replacing it with a link to join the waiting list. I have nothing left to say. Now just leave!